State ready to bring the jury in and call its first witness?
Yes, sir.
Anything council like to address before we do so?
No.
Okay, let's bring the jury back in.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Jury's present. We are ready. Please be seated. All right, the jury is present again in the courtroom. And ladies and gentlemen, did you follow all of my instructions during our brief recess?
Yes.
Is anyone aware of any violations of my instructions?
No.
All right, very good. The state may call its first witness.
Justin Brewer.
Justin Picior, please. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please raise your right hand to be sworn in? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, please have a seat over here on the witness stand. You would please state your full name.
Justin David Picior,
Spell your last name, please.
Picior.
Thank you. You may inquire.
Mr. Picior, I want to go back to September 3rd of 2012. Do you recall that morning, the September 2nd going into the 3rd of 2012?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to ask, how old were you on September 3rd of 2012?
17.
Okay. Now, at that time, did you know a person by the name of Bruce Timothy Blake?
Yes.
How long had you known?
For many years prior to the incident.
Okay. How about Gary Embry?
Same as well. I've known him many years prior to the incident.
Okay. And then your relationship to Roger Picior?
That was my dad.
Okay. Now, I want to go, when I ask you about whether or not you recall that date, you recall where you were in the evening hours of September 2nd going into the early morning hours of September 3rd, 2012?
Out front of Gary's house.
Okay. And do you remember where that's located?
On Smith Avenue.
Okay. And do you know what city that's in?
Titusville, Florida.
And do you know what county that is in?
Brevard.
Now, who else, was anybody else at this location with you that evening? And what I'm interested in is the people that were there as we're getting close to midnight.
It was me, Anthony.
All right, using first names, describe Anthony. Who's Anthony?
That was one of my best friends at the time.
Okay, how old was he?
I want to say he was 22 or 23 at the time.
Okay, and did you know a last name?
Robles.
Okay, and was he related to anybody else there, or was he just your friend?
He was just my friend.
Okay, who else was there?
Devin Catala, which was Kim's son.
Okay, and how old was he?
I want to say probably around 17.
Okay, and Kim is who?
It was Gary's girlfriend at the time.
All right, was she there?
Yes.
All right. Who else was there that you recall?
When the shooting happened, it was me, Gary, and my dad, and Anthony and Devin.
Okay. What about Mr. Blake?
He was there as well.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about what was going on prior to the shooting, and I want to talk about just prior to the shooting. What had the people that you were with been doing?
Oh, we were just hanging around having like a barbecue for New Year's.
Okay. Now, how long had you been there?
I would say maybe a few hours, if that.
Okay. Do you recall approximately when you arrived?
Probably around 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Okay. I want to know if you were there when somebody burned something in front of Mr. Hembry's house.
Yes, I was.
Okay. And can you describe who else was there?
At the time of the incident,
Yeah.
everybody that I said, Tim and my dad and Gary and Anthony and Devin.
Okay. And, well, what was happening? What was going on?
With the fire.
Yeah.
It was a palm frond that Gary was burning.
Okay. And what was going on? Was anything being said or done while that was happening?
And that was just, in the moment he lit and that was it.
Okay. Now, while you were there, well, let me ask, before you got there that day, were you aware of any problems between the Hembry residence, the Blake residence, and a neighbor?
Yes.
Okay. And what neighbor were you aware there was a problem between those residents, the people in those residents?
William Woodward.
Okay. Now, at that time, did you know William Woodward, know him by that name?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see William Woodward, the person you're describing in court with us here today?
Not currently, no.
Okay, you don't see him?
Yes, I didn't see him around the corner, my bad.
Okay. All right. So, where do you see William Woodward?
Right over here in the third, or the person on the left, far left.
Okay. Is he, what's he wearing?
Black with a blue and black striped tie.
And what color is his hair?
Blonde, gray. Or gray, I should say, yeah.
How long had you known him before September 3rd?
A few years, because Gary was living there and I would be there prior to the incident, so I've known him before then.
Okay. Let the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant. Now, after you got there, did you hear or participate in any remarks or things that were said to the Woodward residents?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you hear any of that?
Not at the night, no.
Okay. You listened to a tape, a video? Did you watch the video and listen to that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear your father say some things on the video?
I believe so.
Okay. Did that happen while you were not out there, or you were not there yet? Do you know?
I don't believe I was out there because at the time I never heard any name calling or anything.
Okay. And did you see anybody go out to the end of the street where Lee and Smith come together and do a moon?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you some exhibits so I can talk with you about some of these things. Let me show you what's been marked as Exhibit DC. We'll start there. You recognize Exhibit DC?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be an exhibit of?
Where Gary and Tim and William would be living.
Okay. So this would show where the various residents were in relation to each other?
Yes.
Does that accurately show that?
Yes.
Okay. So now that's not an image of how it appeared when you were there that evening, is it? It's just how things are arranged there.
Yes.
I want to offer State's Exhibit DC. I've shown this to this council.
No objection.
Okay, without objection, DC will be state's number 1 in evidence.
Okay. Let me show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit B for identification and ask if you recognize that exhibit.
Yes.
And does that exhibit fairly accurately depict a portion of the area of the neighborhood that you were at when this shooting happened?
Yes.
Is it accurate as to how things are laid out?
Yes.
And I'm going to offer State's Exhibit B again. I'll show this to the defense counsel. No objection.
Without objection, B will be state's number 2 in evidence.
Show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit C and ask if you recognize the what's depicted in that exhibit.
Yes.
And does that show the area that include the area that you were located at on the evening of September 2nd going into the morning of September 3rd?
Yes.
So I'm going to offer State's Exhibit C.
Again, no objection.
Without objection, that will be number 3 in evidence.
Show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit S for identification. Do you recognize the scene depicted in that exhibit?
Yes.
Does it accurately show where things were laid out when this incident happened?
Yes.
And in conjunction with that, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit T and U and V. And ask you the same questions. Do each of those exhibits show the area, how it was, or how things were laid out when this incident happened?
Yes.
I'm going to offer each of these exhibits a second.
Again, no objection.
Without objection, state's S will be number 4, state's T will be number 5, state's U will be number 6, and state's B will be number 7 in evidence.
Now, can we get the screen down? Or I'm going to give you a laser pointer, the button closest to the tip, is the one that shoots the laser up there. All right. Now, do you recognize what we're looking at in Exhibit 1?
Yes.
And what is it that what are the roads that we're seeing in Exhibit 1?
Smith Drive and Lane.
Okay. And are you familiar with how to get to Park Avenue?
Yes.
And how would you do that?
You'd go, I guess, that way.
Okay. So that way, and you reach Park?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you show where it is that, or the residence that you associated the defendant, Mr. Woodward, with? Is that visible in this image?
Where William lived?
Yes.
Yes, he lived right there.
Okay. And then Gary, Embry, and your father, where were they living? With that one?
Yes.
And then where was Mr. Blake and his wife living? Okay. So that shows the relationship of one home to the other. Is that about how far they were apart?
Yes.
And I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2. and ask if you recognize that image. What it depicts. Show us what it depicts.
This would be,
You can stand up.
okay, that's William Woodward's house, and that's Gary's house. And the
Okay.
street dividing them.
All right. So those are the streets we looked at on the other image.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3. And do you recognize what's depicted in that image?
Yes.
And for what direction are we looking? Whose residence are we at when this picture is being taken?
William Woodward's.
Okay, and
Looking at Gary's house.
okay. And that truck down in the distance, where's that?
That is at, it looks like Gary's house. Gary's or Blake's.
Okay, so you've got Gary's house and then you've got Blake's further away in the image. Is the next one after?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 4. Okay. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if this helps. Okay, that helps a little bit. All right. So can you tell us what residences we see in this image?
Gary and Blake.
Okay. And there's a vehicle that's parked out in front of, or kind of between the two residences. Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes, that's my friend Anthony Robles' truck.
Okay. And is that where that truck was when this incident happened?
Yes.
How about this vehicle that's parked up in the yard there? Is that where that was?
Yes.
Right. And then there's a car in the carport. Do you remember that car being there as well?
Yes.
Now, can you show us here, is both the Embry residence and the Blake residence depicted in this image?
Yes. That's Gary's house here, and that's Blake's house.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 5. Do you recognize that image?
Yes.
Now, we talked about the vehicles. Are those the same vehicles we saw in the other image we just looked at?
Yes.
And is that another view of Mr. Embry's residence?
Yes.
And this truck that you came, that Mr. Robles had, is that the tailgate visible here in the foreground of the image?
Yes.
All right. Now, there's a light there. Do you see that light that's kind of on the corner of the house there?
Yes.
All right. Was that light on, off, on or off during the course of the evening? Do you remember?
If I'm not mistaken, it comes off and on because it was real sensitive.
Okay. Is it like a motion light?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6. And is that another view showing things that actually gets over to Mr. Blake's residence?
Yes.
All right. Is the entry area to Mr. Embry's residence visible in this image?
Yes.
Can you show where that would be if we were up closer?
Like right up here.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit 7. You recognize what's depicted in that exhibit?
Yes.
And is that how the vehicles were at Mr. Blake's residence that night?
Yes.
All right. Now I want to use these images, but I want to talk about where you were located. Let's start with where everybody was located when this palm frond was burned. Is that visible in Exhibit 6?
Yes.
Can you show us where that happened?
Right here.
Okay. And who was there?
It was me, my dad, Blake, Anthony, and Devin.
Okay. And do you recall what was being discussed?
No, it was just lighting it for the picture.
All right. Did anybody say white power or anything like that that you would believe?
Not at that moment.
Sir, there's an objection, if you would just let me rule on it, see if you are allowed to respond to the question or not. Okay? Sustained.
Okay. Do you recall anybody saying anything while that was being burned?
No.
Sit here right now. Okay. Now, after that happened, what did everybody do?
I think that's when we went back to the truck and we're just talking about fishing lures and fishing in general.
Okay. Now, was Mr. Hembry out there during that, or was he somewhere else?
He was inside when the shooting took place.
Okay. And by inside, where was he?
Inside the Hembry residence.
Okay. So who was outside when the shooting started?
It was me, my dad, Blake, Anthony, and Devin.
Okay. So there was 5 of you?
Yes.
And let me go back to, is the area that you were at located, and you see it in the image up on the view screen, which is State's Exhibit 6.
Yes.
Okay, where were you when you were talking about fishing lures or whatever it was you were talking about?
We were sitting on the back of the tailgate.
All right, who was sitting, because all 5 of you can sit on the back of that tailgate.
Yeah.
Who was sitting on the back of the tailgate?
I believe Anthony, Devin, and Blake, and then that's when we started to walk back towards Blake's house. Me and my dad and Blake.
All right. Now I want to ask a few questions about everybody's sobriety.
Mhm.
Okay? So let's talk about that. Had people been consuming alcohol at this party?
A little bit, I believe.
Okay. And let's talk about, did you consume alcohol?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you observe your father there at the party?
Yes.
Did it appear that he had consumed alcohol?
A little bit.
Right. Did it appear that he was impaired?
Like drunk,
Well, I'm not saying falling down drunk. I'm saying impaired by alcohol.
I guess.
Okay. Was he acting the same as he always does?
Yeah.
Or was he acting how he was when he consumed alcohol?
He just acted normal.
Overruled.
Okay. All right. How about Mr. Blake, Bruce Timothy Blake? Did you observe him?
Yes.
Okay. Did he appear to be under the influence of alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. Was he more impaired by alcohol than your father?
I'd say yes.
Overruled. I'm sorry, your response, sir?
What was your answer?
I said yes.
Okay. Did you observe Gary Hembry? Because I'm going to be asking, I assume you saw him when he was burning the palm frond, but Did you observe him as far as whether or not he appeared to be under the influence of alcohol?
No.
Okay, he did not appear to be under the influence to you?
No.
Okay. All right. Now, you indicated that you were talking about fishing lures. Who were you talking with about fishing? Who were you talking about fishing with? Let me ask that.
Blake?
Okay. Mr. Blake?
Yes.
All right. And your father was there, and the other two guys you mentioned, Anthony and what was the other one?
Devin?
Devin? And where did that conversation go?
We were talking about a marlin lure that was like real big, so we were walking back to Blake's house so he could show me and my dad the lure, and that's when it all happened.
All right, well, let's slow down just a second. We'll put Exhibit 7 up. And does that show the area where this incident happened?
Yes.
Okay. Now, who was heading where? You mentioned that you were no longer at the truck, so describe who got up from the truck or left the truck area and where they went.
Well, me and my dad and Blake were walking back towards Blake's house.
Can you show us where you were heading from?
So we were sitting here and we were walking this way.
Okay.
And me and my dad were right about here, and Tim was right about at the door. And that's when I seen William come up.
Okay. And you're talking about the defendant, Mr. Woodward?
Yes, sir.
Person you earlier identified?
Yes.
All right. Where was your back facing at the time you recognized him?
Where was William at?
Yeah, where was he at in relation to you?
Oh, William was right, I'd say right around here. He was coming up, and that's when I noticed him.
All right. What caused you, was your head facing a direction away from him? Did you turn around and saw him, or did you see him because he just came up in front of you?
I was like facing the door, like walking to Blake's house, and my dad was like diagonal of me, and that's when I seen William come up, and I was like, oh shit.
All right. So you said something verbal?
Yeah, I said, oh shit.
Okay. And so is your father ahead of you?
Yes.
And what happened when you said, oh shit?
That's when my dad turned around, and that's when he got shot the first time.
Okay. And describe what you mean when he was shot. And what I'm interested in is how close Mr. Woodward was to him when your father was shot.
I'd say about 5 feet or so.
I'm going to walk and you tell me when to stop.
Keep coming. I'd say right about there is whenever I was like, oh shit, and that's when my dad turned around, and it was too late at that point.
Okay. Did you see a firearm yourself?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what you saw.
I see him run up, and that's when he went like that, and that's when I was like, oh shit.
Okay. And are you able to say which hand you did it with?
I believe it was the right hand from what I recall.
All right, and you've got a damaged right arm right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what direction was your father traveling when this happened? Where was he heading towards?
On the way to a Blake store with me as well.
Okay. And did he have anything in his hands?
No.
And which way did he turn? Did he turn this way or did he turn this way?
He turned to the right.
Like this?
Yes.
And where did you see Mr. Woodward shoot your father?
In the face.
Did you see how your father reacted to being shot that way?
He didn't really have time to react. He just looked or looked back, and that's when he shot him.
And then what did your father do?
Hit the ground.
He dropped.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you standing there?
Yes.
How far, where are you at right now while this is happening? Show us on the picture.
Right about here.
In the yard?
Like right at the concrete in the yard where it meets.
All right, and then your father's ahead of you, is he in the yard?
Yeah, he was right about here.
Okay, and what direction did Mr. Woodward come from?
Running from this way like that.
Now, so you're standing there, what happens after Mr. Woodward shoots your father?
I just stood there because I didn't think it was real. And at that point, he moved on to Blake and shot him.
Okay, show us on the diagram where he moved to shoot Mr. Blake.
Here, he went up, and I figured he shot right about here.
Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was
next to that vehicle?
coming up right here, and that's when he started firing at Blake.
Okay. Could you see Mr. Blake?
Yes, I seen him go down
All right. And where did he go down?
on the front door, or the garage door.
Okay. And so that's a carport right there where that light's flashing from?
Yeah.
And there's a doorway into the house?
Yes.
You're saying? Now, were you able to see where, because you were talking about Mr. Blake walking towards his residence. Had he already gotten to his residence when this happened?
To Blake's residence?
Yes.
Yes, he just made like one path and shot my dad and then went straight to Blake.
Bad question because you didn't understand. I'm talking about Mr. Blake himself, not Mr. Woodward.
Oh.
All right, because you're describing, you're at the truck, and then you're in the process of going towards Mr. Blake's house when you encounter him. Where was Mr. Blake when you saw Mr. Woodward engage him?
Oh, he was right about at the door, fixing to be opening it.
Okay. Did you see him actually get hit?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see him go down?
Yes.
Now you mentioned that your father was shot. Was he shot more than the one time by this time?
Yes, 2 times.
All right. Has the second shot to your father occurred yet?
No.
Okay. Do you recall how many times he shot at Mr. Blake?
Not an exact number, but just multiple rounds.
Okay. And you were able to see that and hear that?
Yes.
Did you see whether or not Mr. Blake had anything in his hand while he was with you or walking towards his residence?
No, he did not.
Were you there when the shooting directed towards Mr. Blake stopped?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened after that?
That's when he went back towards my dad and pushed his head to see if he would move, and he did not, and that's when he rolled him over and put the gun to his head and shot him again.
And where were you when that happened? You can show us, where's your father, where are you?
My dad was right here, and I was like right over here. And when I seen that, I knew at that point it was real, and that's when I dove behind Kim's car that was in the carport.
Okay, which car is that? Is that visible in this?
Right here.
Okay. So you went up to Mr. Hembry's car?
Yes.
Okay.
And I dove behind it to try to hide myself.
All right. Mr. Hembry's house, that's...
Kim's car at
Okay.
Henry's house, yes.
All right, so did you run?
I dove behind Kim's car at first, and that's when I could see William walking up. Because I was laying down, I could see his feet and hear him coming.
Okay. Let me ask some questions before we get there. At any point in this time that you've seen Mr. Woodward before you went to the car, did you communicate with him? Did he communicate with you?
When he was coming towards the car, that's when I hopped up and I put my hands up and was like, "Don't shoot me, I didn't do anything." And he walked up to me, pointing the gun at me still, but never shot. And then that's when he didn't do nothing. He walked back towards my dad. And then when he started to walk away is when I took off. And I went through the little gate between the laundry and the house.
All right, show us where you went as far as the Henry residence at first.
This is where I was hiding behind the car, and then like right here, there's a little gate between the house and that's the laundry room. So that's where I cut across between there.
Okay. Now I want to ask you, did you see Mr. Hembry at some point as you're going towards his house or into his carport?
Yes, I was actually going in because I tried to get in through the front door, but it was locked. So I went around back in, went through the sliding glass door, and as I was going into the sliding glass door, that's when Kim and Gary were coming out. And Gary was already out down the stairs and like coming around the car, because this is what I could see from the sliding glass doors, him come out, and Kim comes out behind him, and you start hearing shots from there.
Okay. Did you actually see who was shooting Gary at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you see shooting Gary Hembry?
Oh, William Woodward.
Same person you identified as the neighbor at the beginning of this examination?
Yes, sir.
Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you inside the residence when you're seeing this, or how are you seeing this, I guess is what I'm asking.
When it comes down to the Gary part, I was right at the back door and seeing from the back door through the front door.
Okay, and the front door is the one that goes out into the carport?
Yes.
Could you see where Mr. Woodward was? And what I'm asking is, was he actually in the carport when this is happening?
He was right by my dad and walking towards Gary.
Did you see what happened to Gary when you heard the gunshot?
You could see him, looks like he was trying to run, and then from that point he just went down.
Okay. Were you able to see Kim Cass Salisbury?
Like quarter of her body, because the door was like halfway open, so you could just see part of her.
Were you able to see the entire shooting, or was there parts of it that you did not see?
I'd say I've seen everything.
Okay. So do you recall what happened after Mr. Hembry went down?
At that point, that's when I just, after the gunshots stopped firing, I was just waiting in the house and nothing really else after that.
Okay. Did you recognize the kind of firearm that Mr. Woodward was carrying?
It was a black semi-automatic pistol.
And by what makes you call it a semi-automatic?
Holds multiple rounds.
I don't have any other questions of this witness at this time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our lunch recess. So just simply leave your notebooks on your chairs, and I'll remind you to continue to follow all of my instructions over the lunch recess. I'll ask that you report back to the jury assembly room at 1:30, and then the deputy will bring you upstairs. And sir, you may step down, but we'll need you to return at 1:30 to continue your testimony.
All right.
All right, thank you all very much.
All right.
Jury may be excused.
All right.
Jury's present. Ready. Please be seated. All right, the jury is present in the court once again. And ladies and gentlemen, did you follow all of my instructions over the lunch recess?
Yes.
Anyone aware of any violations of any of my instructions? All right, let's have Mr. Justin Picior take the witness stand, please. When the defense is ready, cross examination.
Good afternoon, Mr. Picior. Let me start by asking you, if I understood your testimony correctly, State asked you about this evening, and your first statement was that you were just hanging around having a barbecue for New Year's.
Yes,
New Year's?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you know the difference between New Year's and Labor Day?
Or Labor Day.
Several months apart.
Yeah, there it is.
Which is your recollection? Was this a New Year's party or a Labor Day party?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't remember.
Don't remember, I should say, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So, okay. And it's your testimony with the state that you arrived at around 10 p.m. that evening.
Yep.
Okay. And who'd you ride with?
Anthony and I think it might have been just Anthony.
Just Anthony. And Anthony's last name is?
Robles.
Okay. And that's the young man that had the red truck.
Yes.
Okay. And Anthony was the 22-year-old, is that right?
Yes.
And could you describe Anthony a little bit better for me? How big is he? How tall? What do he weigh? That kind of stuff?
Probably about 5'10" and 100 pounds.
5'10", 100 pounds?
120 maybe.
Okay. So skinny?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were a pretty good sized young man even at 17, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How tall were you then?
Probably 5'10".
About 5'10"? How tall are you now?
About 6 foot.
Okay, so you grew a couple inches.
Yeah.
But you probably weighed, what, 220 even then?
Yeah.
Okay, so 5'10", 220.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately.
Yeah.
Okay. Your dad was a big man, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was just about 6 foot, 285, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Gary, how big was Gary back?
It's about 6 foot and probably 150 pounds.
6 foot 150?
Or 250, I meant.
250. Again, pretty big difference between 150 and 250.
Yeah.
So Gary's a pretty big guy too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Tim, how big was Tim?
Tim's bigger as well, about 200 pounds, 250.
Okay. So all four of you went 200 pounds or more.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Billy Woodward, Wayne Woodward. How tall was he back then?
Probably, I'm guessing around 6 foot as well.
6 foot?
Yeah.
And he closer to about 5'8". Considerably shorter than you even?
Oh.
Hmm?
I said, oh.
Oh, yes, no? You're answering the questions. Is
Yeah.
that true?
Yeah.
Okay. And he goes about 160, right?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. So all four of you, even at age 17, you were much bigger, much heavier than Mr. Woodward. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Your other friend that was there, Devin,
Mm-hmm.
describe him for me, if you will.
Probably 5'5" and 120 pounds.
Okay, so here's a little guy.
Yeah.
Okay, much littler than you all. And you think he was even littler than Mr. Woodward, is that right?
About the same size, yeah.
Oh, he's about the same size as Mr. Woodward.
Generally, yeah.
Okay. All right. And that's reflected. There might have been another young man I wanted to ask you about. So, give me just a second here. Daniel Scrouch, or Scrouch. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce that last name. Do you know him?
Yes.
Tell me about Daniel. How old is he?
At the time,
Yeah, at the time.
I don't know exactly how old he was, but he was probably 16.
16.
Somewhere around there, I'm guessing.
Okay. How big or small was he?
He was a little guy. Couldn't give you really height, but
Okay.
I would say probably 5 foot, to maybe a little less.
Now, he was one of the other people at this barbecue.
Yeah.
This New Year's barbecue, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there's also, you said David Cataldo, Kim's son.
Yes.
He was 17, you said?
Somewhere around there.
Okay. And how big was David?
None of us were really all that tall then, but I would say he was probably around 5 foot, 5.5 foot.
Okay. Now, you're saying that he would come up to about here around here at 17?
He's out here on there, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, the state asked you if you heard anything while you were around, and I thought your testimony was that you never heard any name calling or anything like that. Is that right?
Yeah, not that night, no.
During the whole time you were there, from 10 o'clock until the shooting, you never heard anybody do anything that you would call name calling?
No.
Now, just so we're clear about the same thing, would you consider yelling out at somebody, military faggot? Would that be name calling?
Yes.
Would it be name calling to call someone a pussy?
Yes.
Would it be name calling to... Sorry. 10 o'clock, right? Would it be name calling to refer to somebody as fucker?
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be name calling to call someone a dick? Say, fuck my dick.
Yes.
Would it be name calling to say, suck my dick, faggot?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be name calling to referring to somebody to call their mama a cunt?
Yes.
Or to suggest that your father probably raped you?
Yes.
Or to call you a goddamn plastic G.I. Joe?
Yes.
And you didn't hear any of that.
No.
And you certainly didn't participate in any of that.
No, sir.
In fact, you never said anything to the Woodwards at all. Is that right?
No, sir.
No, sir, that's not right?
No, sir, I did not say anything. to
No,
the
sir, you did not say anything at all. Do you recall testifying in an earlier proceeding in this matter?
Yes, I believe so.
No, it's been a couple of years ago. Yeah, let me see if I can give you a copy, just so you have it for easy reference, a transcript of your testimony in that proceeding. Yeah, French? Do you have a copy, Mr.?
If you've seen that, you may approach the witness.
Thank you. This is a copy of your testimony back on May 1st, 2 years ago. You recall that?
Yes.
You recall being put under oath for that?
Yes.
You recall being asked a question, I'm referring to page 873. You can flip to 873 in that.
All right.
And I asked you the question, now, were you part of the group that was going down and making comments toward Mr. Woodward and his family? And your answer was, I have said things to them. I couldn't remember exactly what I have said. But I said little things here and there. You recall answering that back then?
Yes. Well, no, actually.
Okay, so you just forgot between then and now.
Yes.
But you told me that under oath then.
Yes.
And then you were asked, so that night, were you part of the people that were going down there? And your answer was, I want to say I have said something one time. Recall that?
No.
Okay. So you've forgotten that in the last 2 years.
Yes.
Seeing it there in the transcript, you recall saying it now.
No.
Okay. And then went on to say, so that was part of just sitting there and having a good time, having a party, right? And your answer was, yes, this was could you repeat that again? And I said, going down there and yelling insults and yelling threats at the Woodward family was just part of you all sitting around having a good time, having a party. And your answer was, whenever I said something, it was probably an hour or two before. Recall saying that then?
No.
Okay? And see in the transcript of what you testified there, does that refresh your recollection at all?
No.
Okay. Now, were you able to hear during the hours that you were there some of the comments that your father had been shouting between 10 and almost 12?
No, sir.
So you couldn't hear that. Do you have a problem with your hearing?
No.
Your hearing back then okay?
Yeah.
You didn't have like a head cold or anything of that nature that would, clog up and make it difficult for you to hear what was going on around you?
No.
Okay. And it's your recollection that your father, at least at any point when you were within his hearing, never said anything to the Woodwards. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure, so I'm going to ask you some specifics. Did you ever hear your father around 10:34 in the evening scream out toward the Woodward house, "Come on, let's get him out. You get him out, I'll fight him"?
No, sir.
Did you ever hear any woman respond to that? Fight to the death at war. Yay, Roger.
No, sir.
What were you doing around 10:30? Where were you?
I believe that's when we were showing up, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, earlier you said 10 o'clock, so,
I said 10 to 10:30, but
okay. So you were just rolling in then,
yeah.
and that's why you missed us?
Yeah, I believe so, I guess. I don't know.
Okay,
Never seen anything of that.
all right. You never heard anybody say, "That motherfucker, you get him out and I'll fight to the death"?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, the state asked you if you saw anybody burn something, and you said that Gary burned a palm frond around you. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, did you see any other burning going on?
No.
And if it was your testimony that while he was doing that, nobody said anything,
No.
okay? And this would not be the time where anybody was yelling, "White power" or "Burn, baby, burn." That never happened in your presence. Is that right?
Not in my presence, no.
So if the video shows that happening around a group of people, you weren't there. Is that right?
I never said that. I just don't recall ever hearing that.
Okay. And if the video shows that that happened in the yard closest to, right across the street from the Woodward house, that wouldn't be the same location you were talking about with the palm frond, would it?
Yes.
It would be?
Wait, can you repeat the question one more time?
Well, let me back it up. I thought it was your testimony that when the palm frond was burned, you all were right by the truck parked in front of the house.
Yes.
Okay. Now that's a different location than down the yard closest to the Woodward house, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if the video shows somebody burning something and yelling these things at about 11 o'clock, that's a different location.
Yeah.
And that's when you claim around then that you guys were just sitting around talking about fishing.
I'm confused now.
Oh. Well, let me back it up, because I sure don't want to confuse you. If I understood your
Are we talking about one fire or two different fires?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You were there. All I've seen is the video. And if I understood your testimony correctly, the state showed you the video too, so you've seen the video,
Yeah.
right? Well, when you looked at the video, did you see a fire?
Yeah, there should be one fire.
When you saw the video, was there one fire, not multiple fires?
Yes.
Okay, so according to you, based on your recollection of the video, you're saying that fire that you saw in the video was a palm frond.
Yes.
Okay? And you're saying, again, even after looking at the video, that nobody was saying anything or shouting anything when that burned.
And that's when I said I do not recall.
Now, there wasn't any other burning while anybody was standing in the street, was there?
No.
Do you recall? Well, you have a Facebook account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And there's a picture right now on your Facebook account of you standing next to somebody in the street that's burning a palm frond. Is that correct?
Yes.
And who's that person standing next to you?
Gary.
So this is something that happened while Gary was still alive. Is that right?
A while back, yeah.
Okay. Was it this particular night or some other night?
Yeah, that was the night of the shooting. That was the last picture I actually took of him before he got killed.
Okay. So, just so that I'm clear, that picture clearly shows you and Gary standing in the street doing that. Isn't that true?
I'm not sure.
Well, let me see if I can refresh your recollection. Remember?
May?
Is this recollection? Refresh your recollection about whether you're standing in the street?
Not at all. It's actually very blurry.
Okay. Sure, I'd be happy to mark it. Matter of fact, I'll be happy to offer it if you want. All right. Now, again, I want to ask, well, first of all, let me back up. When was it that you last reviewed the video on this particular case?
Not too long ago.
Okay, within the last couple of weeks?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so it's still pretty fresh in your memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, isn't in fact what the video shows is the very first gunshot that was fired by Mr. Woodward occurred at 12:37.
I'm not sure exactly
Okay.
the time.
Well, let me ask you if you recall the sequence of shots. There's one shot at 37:47, one shot at 37:51. There's a sound of something hidden in the ground, and there's a third shot at 37:57. Does that comport with your memory?
No.
No, because I thought you said that there was one shot and then he shot.
Well, I wasn't keeping track of the seconds of the video.
Well, I understand, but even just the sequence. Then there's, at 38:02, there's 13 shots, one right after another. Isn't that true?
I guess.
Okay. Now, if you add those up, that would be 16 shots that had occurred up until that point in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, it's somewhat different than your previous testimony. You were saying that there was one shot, then you're saying that Mr. Woodward then shot Gary multiple times, then came back and shot your father. Was that correct? Is that what I understood?
He shot Gary. Gary was the third person to get shot. Tim was the second.
Oh, Tim was the second. I'm sorry. Have Tim. You're correct. Tim. I apologize. I did mix up Tim and Gary. So let me back up. If I understood your testimony correctly, you said your father got shot once in the face. Yes?
Yes.
Then, according to your testimony, Tim was shot
Yes.
multiple times.
Yes.
Okay. Then, your father was shot again.
Yes.
Then, you jumped under something and hid under something where you still said that you had a good view of the scene, right?
Well, that's when he was walking up to me, is when I dove behind the car.
Okay. Now, isn't it true, and based if nothing else on your review of the video, that there was actually one shot separated by just a few seconds, a second shot, another couple of seconds, and a third shot, and then a longer pause, and then 13 shots without any pause? Isn't that the sequence of shots?
I guess so.
Okay. So that would seem to indicate, since Tim is the guy that got shot all in one sequence.
Objection, speculation. No foundation.
It's just testified in terms of his record. I'm sorry, may reproach.
Yes. Overruled, you may repeat the question.
Thank you. Based on your, assuming that sequence is shown on the video, that would be inconsistent with your recollection of who got shot when, wouldn't it?
I guess.
Okay. Now, did you act, well, let me ask it like this. From your vantage point, and as you said, Mr. Woodward was walking towards you, did you actually see him reload?
No.
Okay. So you were aware of the fact that after shooting 13 shots, he would have to reload?
No.
Okay, fair enough. And then you said that you saw shots to Gary, is that correct?
Yes.
And doesn't the video also show the sequence of shots to Gary as being beginning at 38.50 and going through 38.55? 5 shots, slight lull, 10 shots.
I'm not sure.
Okay, fair enough. Would you agree that the total amount of time that occurred between the first shot to your father and the last shot to Gary was 1 minute and 10 seconds?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, you had indicated that when Mr. Woodward walked up toward you, you said to him, "Don't shoot me, I didn't do anything."
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Who did something?
William?
Okay. Well, you wouldn't be saying to him, "I didn't do anything," about something he was doing. So, the implication there seems to be you're saying somebody did something to William that deserved shooting. Who did that?
I'm not saying that. But he's coming at you with a gun. You're like, I didn't do anything.
Okay.
Don't shoot me.
All right. And he didn't shoot you, right?
Thank God.
Yeah. Now, I want to go back to this testimony you had about talking about fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Recall that. Now, did I correctly understand your sequence of events? You're saying that this lighting of the pond occurred just before the conversation about fishing.
A little bit before, yeah.
Okay. Well, what's a little bit before? Because in direct, you said the next thing that happened was you were talking about fishing.
Let's say within a 20 to 30 minute period.
Well, that's a long time, and a lot of stuff happens in 20 to 30 minutes. So what happened between the lighting of the palm frond and the talking about fishing in that 20 to 30 minutes?
Like I said, just talking about fishing.
So you just sat there and you were continually talking about fishing for 20 to 30 minutes between the time the palm frond was lit and you all decided to go look at this lure.
Yes.
Okay, so long conversation about fishing, not just a short conversation. Is that right?
Yes.
And that conversation was with Devin and your other friend, I'm sorry, I didn't write down his name, as well as Gary and your dad. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Were you guys, any of the young men there, were you wrestling earlier in the evening?
Not with any of my friends now.
Yeah. Or with anybody?
No.
I mean, no wrestling at all?
No.
Okay. And certainly not any wrestling before the shooting. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were reviewing stuff with the state, did they tell you anything about Tim's testimony?
No.
Okay. So, if Tim didn't mention anything about a conversation with fishing or talked about wrestling, would he be incorrect?
I have the attorney's approach on that, please. Sustained. Next question.
Well, just so I'm clear, your conversation was with Tim Blake, right? About fishing.
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you ever around when anybody was getting squirted with a squirt gun?
No.
Were you around where anybody was getting poked with a bat?
No.
I believe it was your testimony that when your father was shot, there was nothing in his hand. Is that correct? Nothing
There's
at all?
nothing in his hand.
Okay. So, after he was shot, there was nothing that dropped out of his hand, hit the ground, anything of that nature. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Do you recall when you listened to the video that between the second and third shot, the sound of something metallic, like a bat, hitting the ground?
I believe so.
What was that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. You heard it.
Yes.
You were there.
Well, I didn't hear it when I was there. I heard it on the video.
Okay. Well, fair enough. But you're saying that you didn't see anything,
No.
and that wasn't a bat that your dad had in his hand that after he got shot, dropped out of his hand.
No, sir.
Now, I also want to talk with you about, if I understood your testimony correctly, in your opinion, your dad was not really drunk at all. Is that right?
Yes.
He was just acting normal.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he drink a lot when he was around you?
No.
So, normal for him would not be drunk.
No.
So I'm clear.
Yeah, my dad wasn't really a drinker now.
Okay, so it'd be really unusual if he was, intoxicated at a high blood alcohol level. You would notice that because it'd be an unusual thing for him, right?
Yes.
And you had hung around Tim Blake a lot too, is that correct?
Yes.
And, was Tim Blake a big drinker?
Yes. I
Okay.
don't say a big drinker, but he was a drinker.
Okay. Had you seen him impaired a lot?
Yes.
Okay. So was he drunk that night or not?
Yes, but it wasn't like he was just pretty much how he always is, nothing like out of the ordinary.
Okay. Gary Hembry. You've been around him a lot
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And was he a big drinker?
No.
So again, you would notice if he was under the influence of alcohol, right?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that he was not under the influence of alcohol?
I don't believe so, no.
Not at all. Okay. Are you aware of any of the autopsy findings about how much alcohol was in your father's bloodstream and Gary Embry's bloodstream?
No, sir.
I'm not impeaching him, I'm asking a question.
Further arguments to be made at the bench, the objection, however,
Thank you.
yes or no?
Now, I know that you said that you only recall one instance of something burning. You're claiming it's palm front. Were there any other times when you saw people waving around lighters, lit lighters?
No, sir.
Okay. So if that, you weren't around when anything like that happened?
No, sir.
Did you see that in the video when you reviewed it?
I don't recall lighters now.
Okay. All right. Now, I think the state asked you about mooning people. Were you around when that happened?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you see that in the video?
I think so.
Okay. Now, do you recall when in the video you saw that?
No, sir.
Okay. Would it sound about right that that would happen around 12:15?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, 12:15 would have been the time that you're saying that you were having this fishing conversation, if I understand your testimony right, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, you and your dad and Tim Blake and your friend Devin, I apologize, can't remember his last name. What's Devin's last name?
Catalog?
Devin Catalog. We're all back by the truck at 12:15, right? Talking about fishing.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. So, are you saying it couldn't have been your dad participating in this mooning activity?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it wasn't me, and I did not pay attention to them doing anything and never seen them do anything in front of me.
Okay. Well, if you're saying you were talking to your dad and he was doing something else with you at that time, then you would in fact be saying it couldn't have been your dad at 12:15 mooning the Woodwards, right?
Well, I'm saying I don't remember that happening yet.
Well, you remember talking about fishing,
I remember talking about fishing.
and that's pretty much all you remember doing, if I'm hearing it correctly. You don't remember anybody screaming anything, you don't remember anybody doing anything, you don't recall anything other than this pleasant conversation about fishing, and you all walk in to see the lure when Mr. Woodward showed up.
Yeah.
No further questions at this time. I would like to hold Mr. Picior for possible recall.
Any redirect?
Briefly.
You may proceed.
And I don't know if we'll need to do pictures or not. I can set back up again if we do. The first question I have is, you said you got there around 10 o'clock. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes.
All right. And did you stay outside the whole time? Did you go places? What did you do while you were there?
I was in and out through the house throughout the night.
All right. So there were times you were inside, there were times you were outside.
Yes.
Were you keeping track of when you were in, when you were out?
No, sir.
All right. Were there things that you heard on the video that you didn't hear when you were there, when you were at the event? In other words, we listened to the video and it played and you heard sounds and you heard people say things. And some of the things you heard you thought were your father, right?
Yes.
And you didn't hear him say those things in your presence. Okay? So were you somewhere else when those things were being said?
I could possibly, yes.
Right. Do you remember the things that you recalled or associated with that you thought were your father's voice, what it was that you heard him say?
I can't recall.
Okay. Was it plastic G.I. Joe or words to that effect?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, where did your father fall after Mr. Woodward shot him?
In the, between Gary's house and Blake's house.
Is that on the grass?
Yes.
On the yard?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any other questions at this time. Again, I would have a subject to call as well.
Any requests?
Not this one. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Picior, you may step down. Thank you, but you are subject to recall. Thank you very much.